Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to day 2 of Vlogmas. Kicking Vlogmas off, well, we kicked it off with goals and now I'm going to talk about my favorite things from the last couple of months. I like to do this video every quarter where I talk about all of the things that I have been loving. Most of the time it's objects, but some of the times it's like a habit or a mindset shift, and I actually have a lot more of those this time around than I typically have in the past. Usually I have at least one, but this time I have 7 objects and 3 like mindset habit type things to talk about. Before I jump in, I also want to answer a question that I'm probably going to get or maybe at the top of your mind, and that is, am I going to include any kind of like baby or mom type recommendations? There's a lot of YouTubers that I love who would always include those kinds of recommendations at the end of the video. That way, if they didn't apply to you, you could just leave and be done. But I'm actually not going to include them in my favorites videos. The biggest reason is that most of those items, like favorite items, either my favorites related to parenting or my daughter's favorites, really link up to either parenting decisions that we have made or my daughter's preferences, both of which we have decided are things that I'm not going to share. My channel is about me and my life and helping you achieve your goals. And so my favorites videos are still gonna be focused on me and what is making my life easier right now. Now, some of those are directly correlated, which you'll see in a little bit, but just in case you're wondering, like in the future, if I'm going to be incorporating any specific baby parenting items, the answer is no. All right, let's start with books. I like to always include one favorite fiction and one favorite non-fiction book in my favorites videos if I can. Over the course of the year, I had not been reading as many books as I would like, but truthfully, I have actually found a lot of time to read and have found myself prioritizing reading over the last couple of months. And so I am excited to talk both about fiction and nonfiction. So let's start with my favorite fiction book from the last few months. Is kind of cheating, and because it's a reread, and that is the Harry Potter series. Specifically though, the Harry Potter series on audiobook. And I have heard a lot of people rave about the Harry Potter audiobooks and the narrator that does them for a very long time, but I never really got into audiobooks. And if you watched the last favorites video, I talked about how I had gotten into audiobooks. And so what I decided to do was, I actually have been borrowing them from the library, except either 2 or 3 I did buy because I was like ready for the next one and I didn't want to wait, but every other one has kind of worked out. And I actually started listening to the first one during labor. So that was kind of the beginning of the Harry Potter audiobook, and now we listen to them during the night when we do our night feedings, and then I listen to them when I'm falling back asleep after I wake up and feed her during the night. So I have been loving the Harry Potter audiobooks. They have been making me so happy. Again, the narrator is amazing. So if you love Harry Potter and you've never listened to them and you like audiobooks, highly recommend. If you don't, maybe just try. It's a nice thing to have on in the background instead of like music, is what I find a lot too. I will turn that on in the evening in my AirPods instead of listening to a podcast with information that I don't need at 7 p.m. at night, or like instead of music, I've been listening to Harry Potter. All right, my nonfiction recommendations actually are pregnancy/parenting specific, but I want to tell you about them because I cannot recommend this author and her books more, and I think they are fantastic gifts. I have been telling everybody, like, if you have somebody in your life who is pregnant or planning to be pregnant, these books, hands down, recommend. It is Emily Oster is the author, and the pregnancy book is called Expecting Better. It actually has a whole beginning section on conception, so even if you know somebody who is planning to try to get pregnant or is trying, I highly recommend that book. And then Crib Sheet is her second book, and that one is baby focused, really like infant focused, 0 to 1. And then she has a third book that is like further along than that. I haven't read that one yet because we're not there yet, but I do plan to read it. I also, when I'll listen to her podcast, follow her on Instagram, all of the above. Like, I just think that she has such a fantastic way of presenting data related to kids and all of the things associated with that. So instead of just a blanket recommendation of X, Y, and Z, she presents the data to you and says, here's the studies that were done. Here is whether the study was good or not, or here's just the facts about the study. Here's what makes it, she starts the book with, here's what makes a good study. And then, so here's the study, here's the facts of the study, here's the results and the risks associated with the results of the study. You then get to take that information and make your parenting decisions. And oh, it just felt like it made me feel so much better about some of the tougher parenting choices. So highly recommend, again, whether it's for you or a gift for somebody in your life, I can't recommend them more. So I had to talk about them here, even though that it is very specific to pregnancy and parenting. Now, before we move on, I do want to ask for a favor. I would love your thoughts on your favorite way to hear about books, if you care about books, because in the past I have kind of been all over the place with it. I have shared a favorite in these videos sometimes. I try to do it in my monthly newsletter, but if you're on my newsletter list, you know that that was not consistent, and that wasn't just because of maternity leave. Like, I just was not consistent with my email newsletter. So I'm trying to figure out the best way. One year I did try to do it on Instagram, where I shared like every book I finish on Instagram and my thoughts and my rating there. I don't know. I don't know the best way. I would love to hear from you what your thoughts are. First off, do you like hearing about the books that I'm reading and my thoughts? If you do, which one of those is your favorite? Maybe I do its own video. I did that one year too, where it was like my book reviews for the year, and those videos had very few views. So I'm like, does anyone even care about what I'm reading? And so maybe not. Maybe I just need to stop worrying about it so much. But it's also almost always a question every week on the live. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe I just talk about books on the live every week, like if I finished a book. Okay, that might be the answer. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I would appreciate it. All right, let's keep chugging along. So the next thing on my list is something that is kind of a shocker. I am not using right this moment, because every other moment of the day I am using, I don't even have one in my vicinity, is this hair clip. I have always struggled with hair clips that capture, I have very thick hair and I have a lot of it, and I have always struggled with hair clips that would keep my hair up and out of my face. Well, if you have ever been around a newborn baby and their grabby little hands, I have to keep my hair up all the time. Otherwise my hair ends up in her hands. And these hair clips, they're just from Amazon. There's nothing special about them. I don't even really love the colors, if I'm being totally honest, but they keep my hair up all the time. Like, it is, I don't ever feel like it's falling out, if that makes sense. If you have thick hair, you know what I'm talking about. So if you are somebody like me with lots of thick hair and you have struggled to find a hair clip that works for your hair, these from Amazon are the best. All right, the next thing on my list is something that's kind of silly, but has also been just making me happy lately, and that is trying to make kind of slightly fancier coffee drinks at home. Specifically, it is this brown sugar cinnamon coffee syrup is what I've been using. Since being able to drink all the coffee I want and not having to track the amount of caffeine that I'm taking in now that I'm no longer pregnant, I have been drinking a lot of coffee, and I was craving sweet drinks a lot. I don't know what that was about. I haven't put sugar in my coffee at home for years. I cut that out a couple of years ago, and I just would have some sort of milk or half and half in my coffee at home, but I was craving that sweet drink, and so I was finding myself a lot going out to get them, and of course being like, well, I got out of the house, so I'm going to go get a sweet coffee treat, and it started to add up. So I actually found this syrup at like Marshall's or TJ Maxx, and I was like, let me just try it. I've heard really good things about it, and that it really mimics the brown sugar syrup from Starbucks. And it does. It's very good. Now, it does also have the cinnamon, and you can taste the cinnamon. So if you don't, that's like the difference from the Starbucks one. The Starbucks one is just the brown sugar, and the other one that I have at home has that cinnamon added to it, but I love it. So I just add a little bit to my coffee, and it gives that little bit of a flavor and sweetness that makes it feel special and exciting without having to spend. If you get a large drink with like a flavoring and a special milk, it's like almost $8. The next thing on my list is something that I actually realized I included in a favorites video a while back, but I have to talk about it again because it's something I've been using a lot, and that is my lap desk. My husband Sam got this for me for a Christmas gift, I don't know how many years ago, and I loved it because I was able to sit on the couch and whether it's watch football or hang out with him and get work done, like, and have a nice place for my laptop and all of those things. And the poor lap desk had to go, once my belly got too big, I couldn't use it anymore because there was no space for my lap desk and my laptop. And now that I am no longer pregnant, but also wanting to get work done and not necessarily in my office. I have actually not been working in my office all that much. I'm working out in the living room or in the bedroom or in her bedroom. And so it's nice that I've been able to use my lap desk, and it makes me so much more productive, especially because I like to use a real mouse. And so the lap desk makes using a real mouse possible with a laptop. So I just had to talk about that again. All right, next up is something that I showed in one of the vlogs. If you were around for my maternity leave, I had 10 weeks of vlogs that were all like during pregnancy leading up to the baby, and then they went live while I was on maternity leave. And one of the things I showed was organizing my makeup. And I had bought these little plastic containers that I'd actually learned from an influencer, I think on Instagram. I don't actually know where I saw them. And I used them to organize my makeup. Well, the package from Amazon came with a bunch of them. And so I had to continue to find uses for them. So not only do I still use them for my makeup organization, like I showed in that video, and it works fantastic. I also use them in my bathroom. There is no cabinet above the sink, which is so frustrating. Like, why would you just put a mirror there? Anyways. So I didn't have anywhere to store my like toiletry stuff in my bathroom. So I got this thing that goes over like on the back of the toilet that holds all my toiletries. And while it works from a space standpoint, things were falling over all over the place. And so I used the little plastic containers to organize that. Then I use some of them in the kitchen drawer to organize like the vegetable peeler and the pizza cutter and those kinds of things. So highly recommend these little plastic organizers from Amazon because I've used them in a million different places. All right, next up on my list, which I hope I'm gonna be able to find a link for. If not, check your Walgreens because that's where mine is from, and it is this little standing mirror. I probably should have like washed it before I showed it in this video. All right, this thing, oh, you can see the mess of the camera behind it. This thing became a favorite during pregnancy, and now I still use it. And so I got it, I think I got it originally for dance. So that when I was getting ready for like at shows, I had my little mirror. But when I was pregnant, I didn't want to stand in the bathroom to do my makeup. I was constantly getting tired, and that was extra energy I didn't want to exert. So I would come sit here at my desk and use this little mirror and do my makeup here. And now, even though I have the energy to stand and do my makeup some days in my bathroom, I don't always have the luxury of just being in my bathroom by myself because there's nowhere to put her. My bathroom is so small that there is not space for any of the extra things I have that I can put her in. You know what I'm talking about, like all the extra little things that hold a baby. None of that fits in my bathroom with me in there also getting ready. So I end up doing my makeup in a lot of different rooms, and I take my little mirror with me. Again, I just got mine at Walgreens, and so I would check there. I'm gonna try and find a link for you, but if I can't, Walgreens. Okay, the last like physical object thing I have to talk about is a newer favorite. I have only had it for a couple of weeks, so I feel a little bit like, am I jumping the gun? And it's not inexpensive. And so I feel also a little bit like, am I really gonna talk about this? But it is the holiday season, and if you are looking for a gift idea for yourself, like a splurge gift idea from other people, or gift idea for a spouse, or maybe a teenager or an adult child, I am obsessed with my Oura Ring. I think I'm saying that right. It's O-U-R-A. And I have been thinking about getting one of these for years. Way back when I really was getting serious about my sleep, I started wearing my Apple Watch to bed so that I could track my sleep. And I did like the data and the information that I was getting from that, but two things. One, never felt comfortable sleeping in my Apple Watch. My mom does it every night. It doesn't bother her. I didn't like it. And number two, your watch really, it only lasts one day, period. And so then also finding a time to charge my watch was always difficult. And I know lots of you gave me suggestions, and I still never found a routine that worked. So I stopped doing that, and it was fine. I stopped tracking my sleep, and it was not a big deal. Well, obviously my sleep nowadays has been a little bit all over the place. And once I got approved to work out again, like once I got the approval from my doctor, I felt like I was always trying to push myself to do something physical, to work out. But at the same time, there were nights where I got terrible sleep. And I remembered that one of the concepts of the Oura Ring is this readiness score. And it gives you a score of how ready you are to take on the day physically based on a lot of stats. Sleep is just one of those stats, but there's a lot of other stats that the ring measures that gives you a readiness score. So I was kind of already thinking about it. And then my in-laws came to visit and they both had one. And so I was picking their brain, I was asking them about it, and they just kept raving about it. And I was like, all right. So at first I was gonna wait and ask for it for Christmas. And then I was like, you know what? No, I wanna know what my baseline is going into the new year. I wanna know what my sleep looks like, what are my patterns, etc. And y'all, it's only been a couple of weeks and I love it. I love it. I have learned so much about my sleep, how it's impacted by so many things, and not just having a newborn, but like what I did the day before, and then I see how my sleep reacted. And it just is, I love it. I love it so much. So if you, again, are looking for a splurge, or you're looking for a review of somebody to finally push you over the edge, like I was already teetering over there and I needed somebody to just say like, you want it, like get it for yourself. I love mine so much. Okay, let's talk about the habit mindset favorites from the last couple of months. And these are all kind of a direct reaction, correlation to having a newborn, but I think can be very beneficial to anybody. Number one is having routines, but also having flexibility. I used to be so set in my ways with routines, and I still want to be consistent with my routines because I know that they're helpful for me, but man, do I have to have flexibility now. And what I mean by that is what time the routine starts, how much of the routine am I doing? Sometimes my routine is split up into 2 chunks. Which steps in my routine are my must-dos and which ones are the nice-to-dos? Now that one I have always been kind of good with, and especially during pregnancy I got good with that one. It was like, which ones are the steps that I absolutely need to do to feel good, and then which ones are the like superfluous, like if I don't have the energy, I'm not gonna worry about them. Same thing is true now. Here are the steps that I for sure do every day, and there are not as many because I can't commit to making sure I do every single one of them every day. But I like having the whole routine there as the option if I do have the time. Is she still asleep in the morning? Then I get through my whole morning routine. If I get through steps 1, 2, 3 that are the most important, and then she wakes up, all right, it's time to start my day. Sometimes I'll go back and finish my morning routine later. Sometimes I won't. But having that flexibility and just mentally being okay with that has made such a difference to me getting back into my routines after kind of not worrying about them for the first, I would say maybe month of her life. I was just like, what is a routine? Like, we're just surviving at this point. And then we kind of like had a break in guests right after she was a month. And I was like, okay, and Sam was back at work. My husband is back at work. So that also was part of it, is I was like, okay, we need some structure. I need some structure anyways. So let's have a little bit of a routine, and it's no way at the same time every day. And it's just my morning and my evening routines, but I feel like I have been more consistent with them in the last, I guess, 6-ish weeks than I was in all of pregnancy. So I really do credit that to being open and flexible with things. Number 2 in the mindset habit list is not trying to play catch up. There were so many things that I got behind, and I'm putting that in quotes because what is behind? The example I'm gonna give you is my gratitude journal. There is a whole chunk of my gratitude journal that is blank. And I kept saying, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna play catch up and I'm gonna look at my phone and figure out what I was grateful for that day. And while I could do that, and I could make stuff up or write generic things I'm thankful for, like my husband or my cat or whatever it is it necessary? And I ultimately decided that the answer was no. And for that specific thing, it was because the purpose of the daily gratitude is not necessarily to have all these things documented. Now, do I like going back and reading the prior years? Absolutely. But it's also about that day, reminding myself what I'm thankful for from the day before. So I just decided, screw playing catch up. I'm gonna start here, and I'm gonna start today, and I'm gonna pick back up with my gratitude journal. Now, do I still play catch up if I miss a day or 2? Yes, but missing months wasn't worth playing catch up on. Podcasts that I got really behind on, just not even worry about it. Delete, delete, delete. I deleted all those episodes. I'm starting from now. Is there maybe some magical nugget that I missed in those episodes that could have changed my life? Maybe, but that wasn't worth the stress of looking at the app and seeing how behind I was on podcast episodes. trying to think if I have any other examples. Those are the two that I wrote down, but there might be something for you that you have gotten behind on and you're like, I'm gonna go play catch up. Actually, here's another example that I just told a community member. So there was a member of our community who was a member for a very long time and then had to take a break for financial reasons, and recently was able to rejoin. And I asked her like what she needed some accountability on, and she was like, I'm gonna go back and rewatch all of the old videos of like the coaching calls that I missed while I wasn't a member. And I was like, that's awesome. And if you have time for that, great. But playing catch up usually makes you feel worse than if you would just let it go and start fresh. So if there's something for you that's like that, it really is not worth it. It's not worth the extra layers of stress to try and play catch up. And the last one, and I am just laughing at myself because I've been talking about this as a tool for goals and life for a long time, and I finally have had to like really truly implement it myself. And it is so much easier said than done. Like, I'm sorry that PlanwithLaken may have hammered this home without truly experiencing it, but that is being open to small chunks of time. 15 minutes here to read a book, 20 minutes to take a quick bubble bath. Like, I used to sit in the bath, especially when I was pregnant, for a very long time. Like, I would get in the bath in the evenings and like, I don't even want to admit to you how long I would stay in the bath. Now, I'm lucky if I have time to take a bath and not like a 20-second shower. And if I do, it's never as long as it was before, but it's better than nothing. I cherish those 15, 20 minutes that I get to sit in the bath. Work chunks, I used to always break into 30-minute chunks, and now I've had to start breaking down into 15-minute chunks because sometimes I don't have 30-minute chunks, or I have a weird combination, right? I have 45 minutes, or I have an hour. 15 doesn't ever really happen. Usually it's like 15, 30, or 45 minutes, but I used to not have to break my time down into that small of chunks because I had 30-minute chunks. I was in control of my time. Now, I don't have 30-minute chunks that often unless somebody else is watching her like they are right now. So again, I know it is way easier said than done, but I really have learned the value of the smaller chunks of time. I get in a half a workout. I press play on a 30-minute video. She wakes up in 15 minutes. I only get 15 minutes of it done, but I felt better than doing 0. So being open to those small chunks of time, whether it's planned, right? Oh, I only have this amount of time. Sam has her and he has to get on a call, so I can take a 20-minute bath, but I have to be out of the bath because he's gonna get on a call and I need to take over. Or it's an unknown amount of time. Those of you with little ones, the nap could last 30 minutes. It could last 3 hours. Okay, it's not 3 hours, but you know what I mean. The nap time is variable, so the amount of time I have is variable. All that to say, the small chunks of time add up, and they do make a difference, and they do feel better, and it feels better than all or nothing. And so I want to remind you of that, especially now that I'm experiencing it myself. It is really, I guess a favorite is maybe a stretch, because do I love that I only have 20 minutes to take a bath instead of the very long time I used to spend in the bath before? No. I mean, do I wish? I mean, yes, I love my daughter, but sometimes I do wish I could just take a bath and not have to get out at a certain time, or feel like if I do it after she goes to bed, I'm like, oh, you should get out and go to bed instead of sit here in the bath. But doing 20 minutes makes me feel better than not doing it. And that is something that I have learned and has made a difference in my life. That's what favorites are, right? Things that make a difference in the last couple of months. All right, that is it. I feel like this video is very long. I feel like I babbled. But let me know down in the comments what you have been loving in the last few months. Maybe what's on your holiday wish list. I feel like it's that time of year, and that's kind of a favorite, a few potential future favorite is what are you asking for the holidays. So if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please click that subscribe button. We have a new vlog coming at you every day for Vlogmas. And then in the new year, new videos every week to help you focus on your goals. Thank you so much for watching. If you're parenting, blah, blah, blah. All right, blah, blah. Years and years ago, not years and years ago, I'm being dramatic, didn't have blah, 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 suggestions. My aunt,